Listen, let's talk about your side, Chelsea.
Yep.
Right? I had a huge amount of pleasure last season watching Chelsea and how horrific they were.
Oh, it was terrible.
And by the way, you may remember, but I did call the Graham Potter one.
You did.
I did say, as soon as you got him, I said, I think the job's too big for him. Not because I didn't rate him as a manager. Chelsea's a basket case of a club, right? Pochettino, I think, is going to do well. I still don't know realistically if you can challenge for the title. Certainly in this first season, I don't think you'll get top 4 this year.
No, forget challenge. Look, everyone's got to get closer to City. Everyone's got to try and get closer. That's the challenge now. Yeah. Liverpool will feel they've got to get closer. Well, they have to. Man United, they're getting closer. So,
they're now the yardstick.
They are. Arsenal done as well as they could. Okay, I mentioned earlier about the certain circumstances they found themselves under, and they didn't have the squad depth, injuries, a little bit of naivety, inexperience up against an absolute juggernaut in City. So that's we'll park that. But in terms of what Chelsea got to do next season, I believe that we have a good enough squad. That squad of players last season were pathetic. They were. And there's a number of reasons for that.
Manager?
No, there's a number of reasons. But look, I go back to what happened back in February, March of last year when the sanctions came in. You know, Chelsea Football Club for the...
But you only had one window. A lot of people think it was 2. It was 1, and you didn't buy in the second window.
Who's that?
You talking about when Frank was there?
No, I'm talking about
you're talking about recently when it was sold Abramovich.
When Abramovich was put the sanctions.
Yeah.
You know, I was working at the club.
Yeah, I remember.
And I tell you, it was terrible. It was... You know, no one knew where it was going to go. No one had a clue where this football club was going to go. And that was a huge amount of change. The anchor at that club was Roman, and he left. And the change, there's too much change at the club, too much. And it happened literally in a space of like 5 or 6 months. All of this change. Some of it self-inflicted. I absolutely agree with that. But the change of ownership that came in, the Americans have come in, and because they came in when they did, there was a very short space to go in, recruit, and mistakes were made. The Koulibaly one. Sterling hasn't turned out yet. I like the Sterling. I think 50 million for Sterling was good business, in all honesty. But some of the other players that have come in, having to replace...
All of them, really? No one that you've brought in, you've gone bargain.
No, but
maybe Badashil looks decent, but that's probably it.
Yeah, but like I said, I blame a lot on the change. There's a lot of...
Yeah, but Todd Bowley's responsible for that change. He even started sacking the groundsman and his son.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that when they came in, the mistakes that they made mistakes. And I think they're probably open to admit that those, but they were under the stopwatch because the transfer window shut. And what they had to do, they had to replace Rudiger and Christensen, 2 players left on a free. And when they came in, they decided that's never going to happen again. We're not allowing players. Those 2 players they could have sold 12 months before for probably combined fee of around about 60 million. Between the pair of them.
I agree.
60 million that's gone. That's why Mount's been sold. They probably didn't want that to happen, but if he said he ain't going to sign a new deal, it's like, okay, well, then we're not going to lose you for nothing next summer. That can't happen. So they made mistakes, no doubt about that. Sacking, Tuchel wasn't on board with the new plan. They fell out. Bringing in Potter. I wasn't against Potter. I like what Potter done at Brighton. But again, he was he fell into that trap of being come in, as good manager, at a club which was in absolute turmoil. On the pitch, off the pitch, upstairs. Marina went, Bruce Buck went, Cech went, the medical team went, the ground. There was so much change, and we couldn't deal with it. It was just like like a tsunami of just this mess that just kept mounting and mounting and mounting. And now I think they've learned. He's taken a step back. I think some of the signings we've made, yet to prove them. We'll work out whether those signings have been good enough within 2 or 3 years' time. But no doubt about it, last season was an absolute disaster. I mean, I'd go to Stamford Bridge and do the games, and I'd be like, I just think I wasn't looking forward to it. It's like another game.
I remember that
and you could almost know what's coming. You knew another bad performance.
So let me ask, sorry, Jay, because we've got to go. Sorry. So what, realistically, as a Chelsea fan, one question, then we'll go to the break with it, and we'll talk more when we come back. But what are your expectations?
Challenge top 4.
So 5th or 6th?
No.
No, I know, but if you don't get top 4, you get 5th.
There are clubs that are further down the road than us, but we saw with Aston Villa last season. We saw with Newcastle. It's not impossible to turn a club around with good players.
And the right manager.
We've got good players. We've got a good manager. Come on, let's...
What will you take now? Worst way, what will you take? 5th? Is that a good season?
I think 5th will represent a real improvement and moving forward.
talkSPORT Drive. Super opinionated sporting debate. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.